Hi Max, hi Fabianne, how are you both?
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great, thank you. So excited to speak to you both. And Max, I wanted to start with you because I'd love to know how your work as a professional wrestler really helped you prepare for this transformation into this iconic horror character in Dolly.
It's very similar. In fact, it was pretty easy to transition because Max the Impaler doesn't speak. I have to tell a lot of my stories and emotion through my body language and my face, although Dolly is in a mask. But um, so I feel very fortunate that they saw my work and wanted me to do it on the big screen because it's essentially what I do in wrestling.
Yeah, awesome. And Fabian, when you've got a co-star who is obviously this terrifying horror character, does that make it a lot easier for you to get into the headspace of a character like Macy and what she's going through in this film?
Max is a big softie. I mean, I know it's so scary.
Thank you.
Um, no, honestly, it was I think that just the ele like the fact that it was all so practical, the effects were so practical, it made it easy to, I mean, not easy, but made it believable to enter into this world. But it was actually nice that Max was such a safe space and partner to go to in between takes so that it was sustainable because we were shooting really, really crazy hours and yeah.
For sure. And when you've got that contrast of obviously the lighter scenes with Scott right at the beginning of the film, and then how twisted this relationship becomes with Dolly, what was that contrast like for you to go from those two extremes?
Well, Sean came actually towards the middle of our shooting, so we shot a lot of the like really difficult stuff first. All the outdoor stuff we did first, and then Sean came, and then we moved into the house. And it was a real necessity for a break in the pattern for Sean to come because he just brought so much like lightness and joy and fun. And it was like all of a sudden it was like, oh, instead of screaming, I'm getting to like improv and getting to laugh. And we were just kind of like we knew our lines, but then we were going off of it and like making people laugh. And it was necessary. Both of them were necessary.
Yeah, for sure. And Max, you've got your own really memorable scenes with Sean. What do you remember about those days on set? Because things get pretty intense between the two of you, I think it's fair to say.
Well, like Fabi said, he's just such a great person, and it was really surreal working with him because I grew up watching a lot of his films in the early 2000s, and he was just he was just so encouraging and inspiring, and he really was a big cheerleader for me. He'd just be like, "Wow, this is your first movie? No way, I wouldn't guess that." And I was like, "Stop, Sean." He's just so
Sean is a hype
sweet.
man. Yeah,
He is.
Sean is like not even just like the actors, he's everyone's hype man. There's this day where we were like shooting outside in the blistering sun on a cliff, and a PA was holding an umbrella over us so that we didn't get sunburnt. And Sean was like, "No, I can't have you holding an umbrella for me." But they were like, "No, you need to have the umbrella over you." And he was just so uncomfortable with anybody being uncomfortable on his end.
Oh, that's awesome. And there is such a crazy dynamic between your two characters as this relationship, I guess you could call it, unfolds. So working the two of you together, what was that like to try and figure out what those moments would play like, particularly when they get a little bit darker and a lot more physical?
I really leaned on Fabi for direction and a lot of the acting and how we go about these things. And obviously, we talked about it and walked through stuff. And I just think our communication was really great, and we got close. And just communication was really important. Like in the wrestling world and during this film, I never want to hurt anyone ever. Like I could care less about or I couldn't care less about my own safety. It's the other person that I'm more worried for. So I just wanted to always make sure that Fabi was comfortable, that everything was okay, that I wasn't doing anything too hard or, whatever, just communication.
Yeah, I think that we we developed a real bond, and
beyond just the physicality, number one was so it was really wonderful for me to have a partner like Max because Max truly knew how to do the dance because it is a dance and I had to be led through the specifics of a lot of this in a way that I could just fully trust my partner and I felt so safe that I could like go to any extreme. But I also think emotionally we were both pulling from real trauma and real experiences that can be very isolating. But it was nice to have this like touchstone person continually to check in with and feel safe with.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Max, obviously, as Max the Impaler, you undergo this amazing transformation in the ring. But to don Dolly's costume and the mask, what did it feel like the first time you suited up and became this character?
Well, I wish I could say it was magical, but the helm is very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
It's a mask, but it's more like a helmet because it's super thick silicone. There's not a lot of ventilation. But I mean, it was akin to what I do as Maxine Paler. Once I put on my face paint and the costume, flip just switches and I become that monster. So, but I just, I said in an interview earlier, but I had to keep thinking, this is the dream. This is what I want to do. This is everything I wanted.
amazing. And then for you, Fabian, to see Max, undergo this transformation and to walk onto set, what was that like the first time you saw Dolly?
I mean, I remember when we first opened the box that had the head in it, and I was just like, I can't believe how good this looks. And when we were doing our tests for like prosthetics and stuff, it just was really incredible to see it come to life. And with all this stuff, when you're going to go to such extremes, there's like the risk of it being really cheesy. And I think had they gone the CGI route, it would have felt really cheesy. But because we had such a small budget, leaning into it all being practical, um, yeah, like we've called it like Alex and Ashley, they were our duo that did all of our prosthetics were so great. And Haven, who did our costumes, was there like like sewing it onto our body and putting the blood on, and it was like everybody getting to practice their art truly. It was very collaborative, and I think I like lost the point of the question, but I just was very proud of everybody. It was great.
No, it's an awesome answer. And I'm glad you mentioned the prosthetics because both of you obviously get pretty hands-on with some gnarly kind of prosthetics, a lot of fake blood. So, what did you enjoy most, or maybe not enjoy so much about that? I know a lot of actors talk about fake blood being this sticky nightmare, but how did you both find those experiences?
It wasn't too bad. I mean, I was mostly covered. Poor Fabi, had to wear a little doll dress, but I had full, head to toe, and all the blood was I think the thing that was most grueling for me is I have hand tattoos, and every day they had to like cover up my hand tattoos, and my hands were always like really super bloody, and then I would eat. But it stayed on there because it was like alcohol based, and not that I would care anyway because I was so hungry, but it just my hands was caked in blood constantly.
hmm hmm Yeah, for me, it was like covering up the poison ivy, poison oak, what's it? Covering up all of those rashes from the first 2 weeks of shooting. Honestly, the makeup part took longer sometimes than the prosthetics, but the prosthetics are cool. I mean, my ear prosthetic was probably my favorite. Uh, is so good.
Oh, well, amazing. Well, Max, Fabian, thank you so much for your time. I cannot wait for people to see you both in this film because what a great horror movie and what a great characters as well. So it's awesome speaking to you both. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
Have a great day. Thanks so much for your time.